All right, welcome back to the shop, guys. So a few things to talk about today. We're going to talk about these new tables that I put together since we last spoke. And we're going to talk about the dust collection system. Had a little bit of problems with that, so I'll go over the upgrades I did. And then we're going to talk about this new tool I picked up last weekend from my buddy Marcus. And it's a Chaz Parker. And we'll talk more about that in a second. So with the tables, as we were saying last time, I had these pieces of countertop. I think it's engineered countertop, engineered stone. But I wanted to build a custom table for it so I could use these tops in the shop as outfeed tables. And I put all these tables on casters. So I have these casters I picked up from Harbor Freight. One of them has a brake in a different orientation. So these are the blue wheels, and these ones over here are the red wheels. And mounting them on casters is excellent, so you can kind of shift it around. And it rolls really nice up next to the table saw. And I put it so it's just about eighth of an inch to a quarter inch lower than the cast iron top. And that allows me to, put some boards through here or even plywood. And then, it's really easy to push through the blade now. Pretty simple construction, honestly. It's just 4x4, 4x4s, and then 2x4s for the framing. And then I put a shelf with plywood underneath for some storage, and put a little edge on there with some scrap wood I had laying around. So that turned out pretty well, actually. I'm pretty happy about that. And the issue that I ran into when I was building these is the dust collection system. So let's go over that. So last video I showed the dust collection system, and I had these 4-inch hoses going through the manifold with the blast gates here, so I can control which tool I'm using. If I'm using the miter saw, I can open this guy, and if I'm using the table saw, I can open this guy right here. And then I had it going out the back here, right out the wall. So I didn't have this cyclone separator. And the issue I had when I was ripping the boards through the table saw is that it was just getting caked up in the hoses, and it was just getting all clogged on the floor here and not pulling through through the wall to the bag. And the bag and the motor and the fan are all behind the wall in a shed. I'll show you that in a second. So it's kind of stumped for a while. I was kind of thinking, why is it all just clogging here? Is it the fan isn't powerful enough? It was a 1.5 horsepower. So I was thinking, maybe that's not enough. So I was talking to Gen AI, and then it recommended installing a cyclone separator. And it actually said going for a more powerful dust collector would make my problem worse because it would just suck the clog deeper into the hose. So what I did, I could pick this guy up right here. And how this works is it creates a cyclone effect. So the particles will come up this hose here into the intake, and then the outtake is right here, but the gravity will pull the particles down through into the pail. So if I open this up now, see I got a fair amount of sawdust here. And that's just for making the tables, guys. And instead of that being all clogged up in the 4-inch hose here, it's captured in the bucket. So I was pretty happy about how that worked out in the end. And then I had some issues converting the 4-inch hose to the 2.5. Oh, it's actually 2.25 inch. 2.25 inch hose for the cyclone separator. And this is actually meant for a shop vac, not not 4-inch dust collecting system, but it does the job. It works. If I was doing this, maybe if I'm doing more woodworking, I would probably get a properly sized unit that does 4-inch 4-inch hoses, and is much more much larger. And then I 3D printed this reducer. It goes from 4 inches down to 2.25, so it fits on there. And then I put some RTV silicone in the middle, in the inside, so it doesn't leak too much air. So pretty happy about that, and we'll see how it goes. All right, next is the new tool that I picked up. This is a Chaz Parker vise, and pretty happy about it. I need to do a bit of restoration on it, so it's pretty rusty, and it's stamped here, the Chaz Parker Company, Meriden, Connecticut, and it's patent 1930, 973.5. And so Marcus wasn't quite sure when it was dated, so I did some research into that. And what this means right here is patent 1930 means that it was patented in 1930. So it's at least as old as 1930, but no older. So the next step was to look at what other features, because sometimes they're stamped in the jaws here, or else the actual date of manufacture. But there wasn't that here. So I took a look, did some research, and found that these handles were slightly different in different years. So in the early 1930s and 40s, there was a much beefier knob. And this one right here is kind of smaller and more cylindrical. So, this is probably dated after World War II, early 50s is my best guess, somewhere between 1947 and 1957. And I know that it's 1957 is the youngest it can be, because in 1957, the Chaz Parker Company was bought by Union Tools, or Union MFG Manufacturing Company, and it was no longer the Chaz Parker stamping they used. They used maybe Union Tools or a different stamping. So I'm guessing this is somewhere between 1947 and 1957. Very excited about it. There's a few ways to restore these. You can soak them in evaporust. It's a chemical process. It'll take off the surface rust. And you could also sandblast it, and that again will just take off the rust. And the third way is to use electrolysis. And I'm tempted to go that way, just because I'm curious on how that process works. And I've seen guys on other channels that do electrolysis, but you basically have an anode and a cathode and some batteries to provide a current through a pail of water. And you would put this in there, and it would actually pulls the rust off and hardens the remaining metal. It's actually used in professional restoration projects to harden the existing metal, and makes it actually harder than when it was originally cast in the factory. So I'm going to do some more work, more research on that, and you'll see me restore this at some point. And yeah, very, very happy about it. So thank you, Marcus. All right, guys, I'm at the side of my house now, and there's the shed that has the fan motor for the dust collector, and some storage for my compressor. And I just got this Suncast weatherproof shed off Marketplace, plastic, but it's pretty solid. It's pretty weatherproof. Had a few rainstorms, and none of the equipment has gotten damaged, so I think it works pretty well. And then this is mounted on a piece of plywood. This is the motor for the blower, and the bag here collects the rest of the sawdust that makes it through the cyclone separator. And really not much dust. It's just a little bit gets up in here, and we're having much better airflow now with the cyclone separator installed. And then you can see in the wall there, just kind of made a hole in the back of the shed, and then it goes right into the shop. So I can run some lines from my air compressor in there as well. But yeah, overall, it's not maybe it's not the prettiest looking shed, but it's good for storage, and it means that I can put all this stuff outside of the shop instead of clogging up the inside with all these tools and hoses and stuff. So overall, I'm pretty happy. All right, guys, that's it for now.